and we're coming to you live from California.
Mhm.
Yeah. Where are you, Suze?
I'm in my favorite city, other than New York City, LA.
Yes, and you are in my favorite city other than New York, LA. And I'm in Northern California because I was stupid and wanted to live a Hallmark lifestyle. And now I live with chickens and turkeys and peacocks in my yard. But I'll be back. I'll
Yeah.
be back. How was your week, Suze?
Well, we had a gymnastics tournament out of town, so we were out of town, and then we also had the stomach flu and pink eye.
During the
So I think I
gymnastics
did the job.
tournament?
Uh-huh.
During the
Yeah.
gymnastics tournament?
My daughter had one. And then we'll be in Arizona next week for another gymnastics tournament. But I don't know. Can you see the pink eye? Not
Um,
really. It's not
we're
as
both
bad today.
we're both scarred up today, and I full
Mhm.
disclosure will share everything. I got always when I get stuff done, I want to tell the people. I got a peel
Uh-huh.
yesterday, like
Ooh.
a it's called a V peel, and I felt like I paid a lot of money for this girl to take paper towels and put it with acid on my face. Like I
Wow.
sort of felt like I could have done this at home with some like fingernail polish remover, but apparently it makes your skin smooth like a baby. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I will be researching at home acid peels. It burns, but I think I look really smooth. So
Yeah.
it's
At some point, remind me to tell you of the time I had to do like headshots back in the day, and
yeah.
I nared my face,
You
but
nared your face.
my entire face, I used Nair on it.
Okay, for the Gen Zs that don't know what Nair is, tell them.
Nair was something that you had in the 90s. Well, how old am I? No, oh,
Yeah,
early aughts,
2000s.
98,
Yeah.
whatever. And it would take off your mustache. That's why girls used it. But I was like, ooh, I'll just use it all over my face, but I left it on too long. And the next morning I had to do headshots. So when you look at those headshots, it
I,
is my face does look smooth, but it also looks burnt. Burnt. Is that a word? Yeah.
burnt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's horrific. It was really
I love
bad.
it. We
Yeah.
need to put the headshots in the show notes. We got to find it.
I don't even know where they are, but I literally burned off like 10 years of my face.
I
But
miss
I was only in my no, I was in my 20s. Like, what was I trying to burn
I
off?
miss I miss headshots without filters.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Like we literally shot on film, people. But my hat, I bought this hat in Louisiana. It says Jesus is better, which when I first bought it, I was like, that's an arrogant statement. But let me tell you, I'm gonna make a prediction, Susie.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm going to meet my future husband in an
Uh-huh.
airport because of this hat. Because I get stopped by the hottest guys. I'm
Uh-huh.
not even kidding. This gorgeous man in the airport in Sacramento. I have my leopard coat on. I was like sporting it. And he's like, girl, all you. Can I take a picture with you? Yeah, gorgeous African American man. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
so Jesus is better is definitely a
Uh-huh.
conversation starter because good looking men will come up. And I feel like it's the secret handshake of I'm on
Mm-hmm.
team JC because it's sort of a I'm out there. And then some men will come up to me and go, Jesus is better than what? And I was like, let's have coffee and talk about it.
Right.
Uh, so I've been pilots,
Uh-huh.
good looking men in first class, good
Uh-huh.
looking men are like, yeah. Gorgeous man who works for Ralph Lauren. He followed me into the lounge. We had this gorgeous talk, beautifully dressed. He lives in Miami. I found out later he lives in Miami with his roommate. So I don't know that he was gorgeous working for Ralph Lauren in clothing, batting for my team. If you want
Uh-huh.
to,
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
his name was Pablo, and I was so excited. And then I was like, 2 + 2 = 4. Pablo works for Ralph Lauren men's clothing, lives in Miami with his roommate, never married, early 40s. Probably not. So we'll see. But so that's my hat story
I
today.
like it. It's your travel hat.
It is my travel hat. It's a bold statement. So I want to talk about our week and like
Mhm.
important topics. So here's a scoop. I'm not going to name this person that I'm going to talk about because then people will
Okay.
say I'm doing this for
Sure.
clicks, but I'm going to give you the background about what
Tell
happened to
me.
me this week. I have a great girl. She's a
Uh-huh.
comedian. She's a well-known comedian. She has several specials. She had hosted a show. And about 10-ish years ago, I would say. She was in the church world doing comedy
Mhm.
as I do
Mhm.
comedy and stand-up comedy in the church world. She came to a conference that I was at and we became friends. I would call her my official mentee, but I think she came to me for advice. She was in college at the time. She opened for me a couple times, really funny at churches. And then she was like, I think I'm going to drop out of college to pursue this comedy thing in LA full time. And I was like, I don't want to make that decision for you, but if that's what you feel that you want to do and you want to gangbusters it full time, you should do that. Um, at the time, she was performing in churches and secular venues.
Uh-huh.
And just to give you the 30-second background, her career took off like wildfire. She went to Montreal. She got with an awesome
Oh wow.
agent.
Uh-huh.
It took off. She stopped doing churches. We stopped being in touch. I didn't really worry too much about it. It just happened, and I was doing my life and she was doing hers. I ran into her in a club several years later,
Uh-huh.
and it was a really awkward encounter. She really didn't want to engage with me too much. And she's a Gen Z. I think she's an elder Gen Z, maybe younger millennial. So she had that like slouchy posture and looked very depressed. And
Stop
I knew,
talking about me right now.
yeah, I know. She's like Eeyore. I think Eeyore should sponsor
He
millennials.
was my favorite.
Yeah, and I was Tigger, so that makes sense. Gen
Oh my
X is
gosh.
Tigger, millennials are Eeyore. So she was like, I got an agent and they're doing a sitcom about me. And I'm like, oh, sad eyes, sad for you that they're doing a sitcom about you. But it was kind of a weird interchange, weird energy. And they were doing a sitcom about her. And I know that comes with a lot of pressure. And she was, middle 20s. She then went on stage at the Ice House and proceeded to not only just denounce her Christianity, kind of mock her Christianity, mock her upbringing. And I had a guttural reaction to that as a
Mm-hmm.
Christian. I literally almost was in tears. And then I had to go on stage after her. Was in tears to see somebody suffering. Like it was so obvious to me that her personal life was suffering to the point where she needed to bring it. It wasn't an act.
Mm-hmm.
And she had been raised in a Christian home and she had lost her mother. And this is all facts. I'm not gossiping.
Yeah, yeah.
My mother said it's not gossip if it's true. So it was sad. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, who did that to you? Did you do that to yourself? Did the enemy come in and just like wave a carrot and say, here's fame and fortune? And I have worked in Hollywood long enough to know that it is edgy to be not Christian. You know what I mean? Like it's edgy
Yeah.
to be dirty and talk about your sexuality. And so I followed her career since then. And she's definitely come out as a former Christian, not just a former Christian, like not for Christianity and
Mm-hmm.
how I haven't heard her say it was damaging. I would just say that it's not a part of her life anymore. This
Mm-hmm.
week, her latest special came out, and I'll tell you the name of it. It's called The Prodigal Daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and it's filmed in a church. And I watched the promo, and it's a free country. I support comedy. I support whatever you want to do. But not only was she saying I'm not Christian anymore, and my sexuality is different, and I want to talk all about that. She was using the name Jesus Christ and making fun of Jesus Christ. And that's the reaction that I had of now you've taken it for me like too far. Like that hurt me. That hurt me that you went all the way from A all the way to Z. And I'm struggling with what her journey must have been. And it did cause a reaction for me. And several of my other friends that knew her were talking about it. And the cool thing I think about us being Christians is nobody was putting her down and
Mm-hmm.
nobody was disparaging her. And we were all literally the same reaction. There's four of us. Every one of us was like, we got to pray for this girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to pray for her because it just made me sad.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but I had you watch the trailer and what your
Mm-hmm.
reaction was.
I have a lot of issues with bad theology and a lot of issues with um, theology in our country and how biblically illiterate many people are that read the Bible every day. And I will say, like many things, how do I say it gently? So, like, of course, it's upsetting because you know her and you love her, right? I'm a big believer that God deals with the motivations of our hearts, right? So he understands pain and trauma, and it's not like it stops him from leaning into people. And I know people biblically can be like, well, what about Pharaoh? But we could go into that. Obviously, not this podcast is not the place to go into that. Absolutely.
And when you're mocking God, that's what really, like, it hurt me. Like, even if I didn't know her, it hurt me
Hmm.
because she's mocking my God. But I
Hmm.
also don't know if she had, like, we don't know. Maybe she had bad theology. Maybe she didn't. But we still are responsible for our own actions. And I kind of was like, what happened to her that somebody might have said to her? It was said to me, Susie, by the way. It
Hmm.
was said to me so many times. If you weren't Christian, I will
Yeah.
sign you with my agency. If you're not so Christian, I want to represent you. If you're not so openly Christian, I want to go on tour with you.
Yeah.
And she's an example of the majority of performers that go, yeah, no problem. Like, I don't think she's
Yeah. Yeah, I
rare.
don't think everyone has to make like not everyone has to make their faith their, like, you felt called to be a Christian comedian. Was what you felt your calling was. Not everyone has to. So this is different from I think who you're talking about, but
Yeah.
not everyone has to make their faith part of how they make money. I mean, I know that sounds
But
weird, right? But
ironically, she is because she talks about it a
well,
lot.
she's I guess she's using it as part of her comedy, her anti-faith or whatever.
And it's
But
sort of
I will
like,
say if people do
yeah,
not have some kind of damaging theology or damaging experience in church, then they traditionally are just like, "Oh yeah, Christians," and there's kind of a walk away. I don't think there's always such maybe an aggressive, painful response to it. And I will say it this way. So, my biological father, I didn't meet him till I was 16, right? He was a My mom met him in the church. It was a horrible situation, horrific situation. He was a men's
yeah,
leader, whatever. The
yeah.
pastors handled it horribly. I met him when I was 16, hired a private investigator, whatever, because I didn't like my stepdad. Turns out that was discernment. But I thought maybe I'm projecting, you know, like this negative feeling I have for my stepdad. Maybe it's a projection of something. I didn't really
Mhm.
think about having a biological father because like no one did, and genuinely none of the cool kids did, or most of the cool kids didn't. There were the Fagans. So I met him. It was the most damaging thing that's ever happened to my faith in my life. I made a commitment that I would never date Christian men after that. He was a predator. And my mom didn't even have that language until I was 40 years old. So obviously I should have never met him to begin with. But if I can tell you the nature of meeting someone who he was working at a pastor at the time, he traveled the whole world, I guess that's what my biological uncle told me, as a pastor. He was in a lot of different churches. He worked with Benny Hinn. He did all these hyper spiritual, hyper religious things and had very damaging theology. And I remember one of the second times I talked to him on the phone, he wanted to be my spiritual leader. He ended up stalking me. And he ended up being able to do that because of his own, you know, bananasness, but also because the theology in which he was indoctrinated into meant that he not only had spiritual authority over my life, but he had authority over my life. And this is a man that did not raise me.
But
And
I want to interject, like, you're
the only
surmising.
reason what saved my faith
Yeah.
is because I loved theology. But I absolutely didn't date Christian men. I found Christian men to be the most damaging, frightening, dangerous people
But
after
what
that.
you're surmising about this girl is that she had some traumatic experience. And I'm surmising that I sort of knew her background and she never talked about any traumatic experience. I think, in my opinion, it's more like this wasn't important to me,
Hmm.
so I'm just going to throw it away. But you might be right because she's not over it. And
Yeah.
ironically, I think The Prodigal Son is a great title, The Prodigal Daughter, because in the book of the prodigal, he
Hmm.
wrestles with his faith. He wrestles, he wrestles, he wrestles, and he does come back. So I'm like hoping, like you, our listeners don't know, by the way, that you have completely married a Christian man.
Oh, yeah, totally. Sorry.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I'm hoping that this conversation spurs the fact that we're not like judging her, but that this is
Yeah.
a prophetic like title that she could make a full circle someday. I just, it's just a bummer that like when
Yeah.
people want to share their faith and they want to be in the spotlight, whether you're working at an office or in Hollywood or whatever, there's a spiritual component that will come at you so hard that says, I don't want to do it. And now I don't even want to be a part of it. Like when Bob Dylan came to faith, by the way, like
Mhm.
he was trummeled. I made that word up, trummeled by Christians. They wanted him on the cover of the Bible. He was brand new, speaking new saved. And they wanted him to be the new Messiah, right? And he was like, I'm so trummeled, word made by Kerri.
Mhm.
I don't want any part of this. I don't know if he says, I think he stayed Christian, but he was like, I want out. So my point being is for this particular example of somebody in Hollywood, that they were given a golden ticket and they were probably hurt. I'll give you that. She was probably hurt. And then it was like, okay, whatever faith she had growing up, did it stick? Like it wasn't strong enough. I don't know what about your faith growing up was so strong that you didn't go away from it.
Yeah, I can. Well, I think that someone could question why, because then I did date non-Christian guys. I think because for
And
me,
they're delightful, by
I
the way. So fun.
they are, and I have an amazing Christian husband. He's awesome. Um, I grew up in a home that had a very academic and contextual understanding of the Bible. And so that made it a home where I could ask questions. And that concept of, I could ask questions about faith. And it just created like the deconstruction that we see happen a lot now. Like I got to live in that kind of deconstruction growing up. So I could say, I think this is crazy. What is the Bible saying here? Blah, 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 blah.
But wait,
It
how
was
did
just
this
so
happen?
freeing.
How did this happen in your house? Did you have Bible
I,
study with your mom? Like, where was it implemented?
I think just in everyday talking, like and then obviously we went to church, but I think because of my conception and how badly the church, she went to a pretty very famous church, and how badly the church handled it like took off the mask that there would be any kind of perfection in
Okay,
Christians.
so just to give our listeners a little background, your mother was a cost. I mean, it wasn't her.
So I would say, we have fight, fright, or fleet. Fight,
Yeah,
fight,
fight,
flee.
flight,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever, all
So
the
she didn't
things.
have
Look
the
it up.
language for what happened to her.
And she was
Until I
so
was,
young and he was
yeah,
older. I
he
just
was
want to give the
older.
context. And
Yeah.
she chose to raise you
Yes.
without the support of the church, without the support of hardly
Well,
anybody.
she had the support of my family, and like we went to a little Baptist church that my grandparents had founded in Buena Park. And so that church, I will say, was like 80 sets of grandparents, which is why the church is no longer there because they all,
But so
got old and died.
she did she model the Bible in your everyday life? Like, was the Bible open in your living room? Like, I just want to know because I'm a mom and I'm just curious.
Um, I think there was a lot of open dialogue about it. Like
But how
Jesus
did
was
you
just
become
always a part of
so
my life. Hmm?
like, did you read the Bible when you were 10 years old?
Yeah. I mean, we always read Bible stories at night, like the Precious Moments Bible thing. I don't remember seeing my mom study the Bible too much. It was just like God was always part of the conversation. And we lived with my grandma until I was 4. My grandma taught Bible study fellowship for 48 years. So I think it
Did
was,
you, yeah. Because I'm trying, there's moms listening. I'm a mom.
yeah,
I try to model it. I also do bring the Bible into conversation. It's part of our everyday life. We do read scripture. We do have a prayer
yeah,
board. It's not a lot. There are certain things that I want our listeners to take from this that we can share that we do. Like one thing uh that I do with my kids in the car is we say the full armor of God, like since they've
hmm,
been young. So when they die, they will know one Bible chapter for
hmm,
sure. They will know
hmm.
at least one. But there are little things that we do. So have you taken any of the stuff that you were modeled with into your parenting with your kids?
Probably expanded it. So not so much like my mom wouldn't let me go to Awana's, which I always think is so
Why?
weird. Because I think she didn't because I think she I think Awana's is fine. I don't have a big issue with it.
Awana's is a Christian, like
Yeah,
Girl
it's a
Scout, Boy
Christian
Scout thing.
whatever. Um but I think she was always aware that she wanted to be to a certain extent in charge of my theology. She was
That's
aware of
really,
what
wow.
happened to her and why it was allowed to happen. And why my biological father had been able to be in positions and how a bunch of other dudes that should have like been there and held him accountable, but he was kind of a bully, when people can be funny to the point of being mean, like
But
that
here's
kind
the
of thing.
thing that is really interesting. Like, we're talking about this girl, right? And she
Mhm.
has a public situation. My worldview and your worldview shape how we view the situation. It's so
Mhm.
interesting, right? Like, I
Yeah.
had a positive church experience, positive two-parent home, whatever, right? So I just go, it's her choice. I'm not going, it's maybe I am.
Mhm.
Let me just admit that. Maybe I am. It's like her fault. And maybe I am a little miffed at her. And maybe if I
Mhm.
really dig down deep, I'm angry at her. Like, maybe I am. I'll just say it. But
Mhm.
you come from a worldview of compassion, which I can learn from. Maybe we can meet in the middle of like, we are responsible for our life choices because you could have just thrown it out the window. You could have been anti
Mhm.
Christian
Mhm.
and you didn't. You really
Yeah.
didn't. So I'm learning from you. Hopefully you're learning from me, and hopefully our
Mhm.
listeners are learning something. But it's
Mhm.
like our worldview is shaped by our experiences,
Mhm.
but we can't let that be the whole of how we look at things.
This is where bad theology comes in, I think. Because there's a worldview, there's a theology that, you have a lot of different things of theology. And obviously, something incredibly tragic happened to her as a young person.
Maybe
Incredibly
you
tragic.
don't know. Oh,
No,
our
we
mother,
do
yes,
know. We do know.
yes. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Yes,
And she also has been open about mental health issues. So if you grow up in a church and a worldview that is, say, super reformed, and they're like, God controls everything that happens. Everything that happens is God's will in this life. That is not theologically true. We know that's
but
not
we don't
theologically true.
know if she grew up that way.
But, well, I think the other damaging theology that a lot of churches grow up in is God either willed it or allowed it, as if it's that simple, as if it's not complex. And I think if you're a child or a
And
teen, which is
and
still a
you lose your
child,
mom.
and you lose someone and you watch them suffer, and you are part of a world system that goes, oh, God willed it or allowed it.
Did her
No
mom
matter how
die of?
compassionate people say that to you,
Did her
it
mom
makes
die
God the
of? Wait, did
cancer,
her
I
mom
think.
die of cancer?
I believe so. That makes God, no matter what, the abuser. He either willed it or allows it. We know that in our country, if you allow abuse to happen, right? And you're knowing that it's happening, that you can be charged for it, right? So, like, the reality is, this is where biblical hermeneutics is like so epically important to me. And that's what I had. That's what I
And
had.
it's funny in the news right now, 2026,
Mm-hmm.
the
Oh,
high
yeah.
school boy that shot other students
Mm-hmm.
is in court. His father,
Mm-hmm.
who did not partake in the shooting,
Mm-hmm.
is going to jail
Mm-hmm.
for manslaughter, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, because he gave his son the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it is very pertinent that we, uh, what you just said, like the
Mm-hmm.
abuse. Now back to what we're originally
Yeah,
talking about with this
because
person.
because I grew up with a theology that allowed complexity, a theology that really did lean into an academic and contextual understanding of the text, that helped me lean into God, right? That helped me know I don't understand it, but I know God's not flippant with pain. And it, I mean, it just, I don't even know how to explain how lucky I was, even though then I didn't date Christian guys, because that was the most damaging thing to me, was
And
meeting
I
my biological
never,
father, and his theology was so horrific. He took Jesus, who was my safe place. Literally, as a
yeah,
little girl, I would have Holy Spirit like experiences.
right,
I didn't know what that
right.
was, but where I would feel afraid, and I would, in my mind's eye, I would ask that Jesus would like be with me, and I would imagine him enveloping me in his light. Those were my go-tos that I practiced as a little girl. And I think that's what brought me back. But then meeting my biological father, who was like so Jesus-y, right? Um, it took Jesus and my faith and my safe place, and it was like it covered it in soot. It was horrific. It was the most damaging thing that's ever happened to me.
And how many years did it take you to come back to Jesus as a
You-
safe place?
Well, I think I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's not that Jesus didn't become a safe place, but it's like Christianity wasn't a safe place
I think
anymore.
this is so good because I hope that people are listening and they have teenage kids that have gone away, as we both have had our experiences with that. And the shiniest pastors, right? Like the
Mhm,
most Bible-y people, and their kids just have an experience, whether we want them
mhm,
to or not, and they take a far left. I hope that what I want our listeners to get from this podcast, and I really feel this for my friend as
mhm,
well, and my
mhm.
hope and
Yeah.
desire is that if we have these life experiences, whether it's Hollywood or the enemy or people, right? The enemy using people, that we can like swing back to Jesus. And
Yeah.
as we kind of wrap up this conversation, Suze, like what
Yeah.
would you say to a parent listening right now, or even a person like maybe there's somebody out there who's
Mhm.
16 or 50 and they've just had that traumatic experience and they've turned away and Jesus is no longer a safe place. What would you say to encourage them right now?
I think I would say Jesus isn't pastors. I think that's another thing. So, like, I was never taught to respect pastors more than anyone else. I was never taught I couldn't disagree with a pastor. I was never even given the assumption that they might know God more than me, right? It's not like know God heart wise, not intellectually. And
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 even
I think that
to take what you just said, and Jesus isn't people.
yeah, Jesus isn't people.
He isn't
Exactly.
people. So the good and the bad and the hurtful
Yeah.
is not Jesus.
No.
Like when people are using Jesus's name and doing horrific things,
Hmm.
Jesus is weeping. Like that's how I see it. And that's the
Yeah.
thing that is, if we're Christians and we see bad behavior, we see
Hmm.
mocking, like if I don't have a guttural reaction to that, like I'm like, where is my faith? If I'm not wounded by somebody mocking Jesus, or I'm not wounded that their journey is so like, yes, I feel bad for her. Yes, I'm
Hmm.
angry at her.
Yeah.
Yes, all those things can be true at the same time. But if we don't have any reaction to that and we're numb, that's where I feel like we got to go back to square one and go,
Mhm.
Jesus, are you real in my life? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but also, I mean, I would say that oh, there's so many things I see in popular Christianity that infuriates me. Infuriates me.
I know.
I
And
think
and
that
trust me, we'll get to all that.
yeah, but I think that the guttural response has to always also be a gospel-centered response. This
Right.
kind of stuff totally chokes me up
But
because
Jesus had a
I
guttural
do,
response. He was angry at times. He was sad at
but he
times.
was always angry at the religious people.
No,
He
I
was
mean, but he
never
was
angry,
angry.
yeah,
He was
at the
angry at
broken
his disciples.
people.
He was angry at his disciples when they screwed up and they slept. He
Yeah,
was
they were
angry.
following totally.
Right. But
But
I'm
he
saying
was
like,
not angry at the woman at the well. He was not
no,
angry at the woman caught in adultery.
but
He
I
was,
don't
you know what I mean? He
feel,
was not angry at the man dying on the cross next to
but
him.
fair. But for me to be angry at what's happening with my friend, I'm a person. I'm not Jesus. Like, I'm not angry. I'm not disparaging her. And I'm not like, she
Yeah.
sucks. I didn't call you this morning and be
But
like,
why? No, no, totally. I just want, this is a good question. Why is, because why is anger, because I don't think anger is your first response, but I think
no,
that's
it was
like,
heartbreak.
is there, yeah,
Heartbreak was
so
my first
that's the
response.
first response. That's the first response.
I
And
think
like,
it's like a pizza, Suze. It's like a little bit of anger, 90% heartbreak, a little bit, could I have done more? I wish I could have
yeah.
been there for her. Um, all the things, right? And all the things. And here's the thing, she's in my profession. And people
Hmm.
have said to me, this is a little selfish and self-serving, but people have said to me, oh my gosh, you know, so and so, she's so successful and she's so amazing and she's so like maybe higher on the food chain than you. And I'm just like through the years I've just heard that. Like I'm like, yeah, like that's her lane, right? But I don't look at her as higher or lower or you know the way Hollywood ranks people in their paychecks and their Netflix
Yeah.
specials. But people have said to me, oh my gosh, like, why don't you have a Netflix special? I'm like, I don't know. I have specials, but like in the Hollywood, to take this back from the very beginning, we are on a path in Hollywood to a ladder of success, whether we like it or not. We just are. We're just like
Hmm. Yeah.
making a living. And to do certain things in Hollywood, sometimes, a lot of times, we're asked to compromise. We're asked to
Hmm.
compromise our
Yeah.
values, our feelings, and who we are. And this particular person, just to take it back full circle as we wrap this episode up, which
Yeah.
is awesome. Uh, what I would like to give our listeners from this is it's okay to feel like me. Like it's okay to feel like you. All the emotions at one time.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
question is, what are we going to do with that? And if I don't pray for her and I just gossip about her all day
Yeah.
and I slander her and I'm like, she sucks. Like God is like, you're no better.
Yeah.
You're no
That's
better.
crazy.
No, but people do it, Suze. People do
Yeah.
it all the time.
People
Like,
totally do it. I will tell you one more story that I think appeals to this. So there was a situation that happened to someone I love very, very young. It was horrific. Horrific. And another person I loved many years later um, said, well, you know, she's just made some really bad choices in her life. The person that said, well, she's really made really bad choices in her life was someone that had lived a charmed experience. Not that she
oh
didn't
yeah,
struggle, but like never had paid her own bills, you know, like
right.
genuinely, like had just a
Charmed. Yeah, I get
charmed
it.
life
Yeah,
experience. The woman she was talking about, who was a very young child when these horrific things happened, had had the opposite experience in experience, in finances, in many other things. And this homie was like,
yeah,
she made some bad choices. Trauma is trauma. Trauma has effect. Trauma is like tentacles. You add church trauma to it, you add life trauma to it. Like our trauma, and I'm not saying this about this girl, this comedian, but our trauma will find us out and it gets expressed in different ways. The financial insecurity I experienced as a young person, Jesus or not, if I had had those kind of like whatchamacallit, opportunities, I would have compromised it all day long, loving Jesus or not, because I know being broke and scared and constantly stressed about money as a child, constantly having that on my mind, right? Even though I love Jesus, there was a whole issue, like I knew Jesus cared about my daily bread, but I freaking cared about making sure that like I'm not worried about the next 2 months,
and then the
right?
thing is, as a child, you had to worry about that for your mom, where
Yeah,
I didn't,
yeah.
right? Like, so I was raised, but this is so good. This is such a great wrap up. What I want to say that you just enlightened me to, comedy comes from pain. Comedy
Always.
comes from trauma. Comedy is not, I'm rich and famous. And that's why famous comedians aren't as funny as they used to be when they get a big mansion. Kevin Hart was funnier when his crackhead uncle came to parent teacher conferences with no pants on. Like, that's funny. Then she, like, literally, I'm like, I want to hear about your crackhead uncle. So even my comedy comes from pain. Like, I use my cancer journey, I use divorce, I use all the things. So, in kind of wrapping this up, what I want to learn from you today, and hope our listeners do, is that this girl had pain, and this girl isn't settled with her pain, and she's using her pain in her art form. And it's not how I would do it, but in the hope that when you guys hear this, when you see somebody who's lashing out or writing op-eds or, you know, whatever they're doing in their daily life, it might be that they are not settled with that pain. And the best thing we can do is try to react the way Christ would and like take a step back and pray for them. Right? Like that's the best thing that we can do.
Yeah. And like God plays the long game
Yeah.
in so much
100.
of their lives. You know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
and that's seriously the first thing that I thought of. I was like, he's going to play the long game with her, but I pray, and I literally prayed that she will be on this earth because this earth is precious. Like our time is precious, that she will have the time that her mother didn't have to play the long game with God. Do you know what I mean? Because our time is short, Sue's like, it's short.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. We are all working out our pain. You know what I mean?
And I
And
think God
and
sees
in
her as like his
yeah.
daughter. He sees her as the prodigal daughter. I don't even think she gets it that she named her she named her the prodigal daughter, and the prodigal son was loved above and beyond and used as an example to people for generations. That kid was a cornerstone of the Christian faith who went and slept with pigs. Like literally, like that kid.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think I did note that she says something about the prodigal son, like the older brother, how she like felt for the older brother, which me too. I always thought when I was younger, especially, I was like, oh my gosh, the older brother, ah, I
he's at a
relate to
party.
the older brother. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But the
Yeah.
whole point was also that there was no partiality. That
Oh
God
no,
is
and
like,
yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But
yeah,
I hope that, I mean, I really like what you've said to me today has made me think like from a rounder perspective. And I hope I've kind of done that for you. And
yeah,
you
totally.
know, here's the point, listeners, and I'm just gonna say this. When Susie and I set out to do this podcast, and we were like, well, let's do this podcast for everybody, Christians, non-Christians, who we have shaped ourselves to be in this life is coming from a perspective of faith and all journeys of faith. So whether you're a faith person listening to this or not, I hope that you can take something from this because we are all a work in progress and God loves you. And I mean, we just can't hide it. Like this podcast, the best thing I want to say as we close this up is that God loves you. God loves you. God loves you. Now, Susie, we're going to end our podcast with our
Yes,
favorite section.
yes.
We don't hate it. What don't we hate today? What do you
Okay,
have?
so from theology to Everline Cosmetics cosmetic liposuction.
What do you have?
So this this is so like there's hi
Cancer sponsor.
vanity, there's my
Okay.
son.
Yeah.
So this
Look at
is
my
Slim
cheeks. Look at my
Extreme
cheeks.
4D. It's supposed to be a lotion that I put on my body.
Wait. Give the brand. Give them a shout out.
Um Everline Cosmetics and
Where do you get it? Target.
uh Amazon, although I feel like I
Okay.
need to take out like let go of Prime. But Slim
Never. Okay.
Extra 4D Professional. It's supposed to slim, intensely slimming, and I'm supposed to just put on my body, and my thighs are
Wait.
supposed to
Shut
shrink.
up. Wait.
My
Okay. Wait a
thighs are
minute. Wait a
supposed
minute.
to shrink 3 cm. I
What?
don't know what
What?
cm means. I
Wait.
don't
Wait.
know
Wait.
what cm.
What is it shrinking?
My body. It reduces it reduces my thigh circumference.
Shut up. Okay, wait. I just want to know that this is 2026. I'm not going to say the date, but somewhere in 2026, I want to after. Okay. I like, how long have you been
Yeah.
slimming your body? I want before and after testimonial.
Well,
Okay.
this is why I didn't think pink eye was pink eye. Is because it burns, and I thought I had gotten some in my eye, and so
Wait, you're trying to
um,
slim your face?
well, no, I just
Oh,
I
okay.
was and then I tried to wash it up as best I could, and And I thought that's why my eye was burning, because the kids had pink eye like a few days before. And so, but it wasn't this. It was in
Okay,
fact
so
pink eye.
Everly
But
Slimming Cream is going to slim Susie. Even though I don't think there's anywhere on your body that can get more slim. I love you so much, and I love your cheekbones.
I
But
just want to wear my jeans. I don't want to get
okay,
rid of the jeans.
we're gonna give it a shot, and you're gonna
Mhm,
report back to us
mhm.
on the slimming cream from Everly Cosmetics. And by the way, we want to hear from you. Please go and leave comments on our YouTube, on our Spotify, our podcast, our Amazon, our Instagram, our Facebook, all the things. And we're so glad that you tuned in. And God bless you.
God bless ya. See you later.